Alright, hey, what's up guys? I really hope that you guys all enjoyed that intro. So all of these shots in that intro were actually shot with a FPV drone just like this. So unlike your DJI or store-bought drones, these ones are usually custom built by the pilots themselves with a fixed camera, and then you wear a set of goggles, like VR goggles, that you then use to see what the drone sees. What that allows us to do is it allows us to fly a lot faster, a lot more precise, do a lot more tricks, and really mix things up. So today we are actually going to be going over how to get started in FPV and how to build your first FPV drone. So I made a few things here for me to go over, but the really important stuff is that if you're getting into FPV, do your research. Go online, start searching websites like Oscar Liang, FPV Know-It-All, Joshua Bardwell, and really learn as much as you can. I'll link all of those websites in the description below if you're interested in getting into it. Another really important thing is going to be, once you understand the base components, is you're going to want to build a list of all the parts that you're going to want for your drone, and it's going to help you develop a budget so you know what you're going to be spending down the road. If you need help with that list, I'm going to put a list of all the parts that I'm going to be using in the description, and there's a bunch of lists online that you can go check out if you need them. And then the last thing that you really should do is connect and find a community. Personally, I live in the Pacific Northwest, and there's a group called Northwest FPV, and they've been absolutely amazing. I'm no expert when it comes to this, but they have helped me problem solve anything that I have needed to figure out, and that is very helpful. So try to find a community in your area of FPV pilots. Just do some research. It's really easy. With that, today we're going to be building a 7-inch FPV drone specifically for long-range flying, like in the mountains and stuff. And I'll be going over all of the build steps, and then I'll probably blow through most of the digital side because all of that stuff takes a ton of time, and you can all find it online. Okay guys, so here we are. These are all the parts that I have ordered for this drone. I will have links in the description for all of them in case you're wondering what I'm building with, but let's pop them open and see what we got. Okay, so this should be everything here. Spread that out real quick. For those of you who are curious what these parts are or how they work together, basic motors, brushless motors. We got some basic Avengers V2 long distance motors. Over here, this is the really important stuff. This is our FC stack with an ESC, 4-in-1 ESC attached. Also has our capacitor and our XT60 plug attached to it, although I think we might be using XT90s for this build. Right here we have our GPS, SAM-M8Q, very good GPS all around. Aside from that, we have our RX, this is what will receive our radio signal, as well as our VTX, which will be sending our video signal through this antenna, whereas this Crossfire antenna will be going with our RX. And so that's all pretty simple. So I think from here on we're gonna get started with the wiring. I'll probably time lapse most of that for you guys, and then programming and test flying. Alright, so starting right off, we're going to be starting off by wiring all 4 of our motors to our 4-in-1 ESC. Let me see if I can line that up real quick. Okay, there we go. So these 3 wires coming out of the motor are just going to connect to our 3 pads for our 4-in-1 ESC. We'll do that all the way around, and then we're going to move on to our video VTX and GPS. You can see off camera I put together all of the motor protectors. Real simple. I took a bit of this mesh, slid it down over the wires, snipped it, and then heat shrink tubing on either end, and that should just protect the arms from any prop damage. Let's make sure that's right there. And Okay, so right here I got one full set soldered across, so I'm probably going to do the other 3 motors off camera just to save time, but basically that's all there is to soldering the motors in. Next up I'll connect everything else. Okay, I'm really sorry if the audio sounds terrible, but here you can see we are inside the base wiring diagram for the F7 stack that we're using. You can ignore most of the components on here, but the important ones obviously being our GPS, our TBS Crossfire Nano, the camera that we're using, and the Unify Pro. So what these components are, I already briefly went over them, but our GPS communicates to the satellites. This is our RX. It receives a crossfire signal from our transmitter and connects it to our FC, telling us what the drone is going to do. This is our camera. It's a camera. It's that simple. It sends a video signal through the FC where it adds in data and stuff that we can view in our heads-up display, and then over to our VTX where it takes the video signal and converts it into a radio signal that is then sent to our headset. So over the next time lapse or so, I'm going to solder all of these from the connectors here to the connectors on the board. You can see where everything goes. You can add a ton of components like LEDs, but we won't be doing any of that. And then once we've done all that, the drone will basically be completely built. We just need to handle the power input. This is where our battery will connect. On this specific stack, you can see we're going to require a capacitor. I don't know. But yeah, that's going to be the hardest part of the build. And then we basically bolt it all together, test fly it, and tune out any issues. But it's that simple, guys. Building a drone is really quite simple. It's mostly just understanding what components do what and how they work together. And so here we go. Here we are back in real life. So we have our camera. I will connect these 3 power leads, let's see, right here along those ports right there. We have our RX, which is right here. You can barely see it. I will connect those 4 leads right here. We have our VTX, where I will connect these 4 wires right along here, and then it will sit back here. And then we have our GPS, which I will connect our 4 leads right along here, and it will go also back here in the back of the drone. So let's solder that all together. I'm gonna move these out of the way real quick, and boom, and there we go. So everything has been fully soldered into place. We have our RX connected, camera connected, VTX connected, capacitor, power cables, and GPS all fully connected. So there's going to be a lot of software stuff that I'm going to do, and I'm going to keep that off camera. But the next step really is just going to be to throw on all of the peripherals like our top plate, props and stuff after all that, and test it outside. So let's do that. And there we go. So everything is on it and it's good to go. Let's take it outside and test it.
Don't let me be in it.
Alright guys, here we are. So today's the day. We're finally test flying it. It's getting a little bit dark, so I'm gonna do this as quickly as possible. Here's the drone. We got a controller, everything. Since this is the first time I'm flying it, there's a really good chance it might just explode, so fingers crossed.